Okay, so what would you say, in your opinion, are there any big differences between foundations in Europe and foundations in the United States, for example, in terms of independence or other differences?
It may be changing. I think historically American foundations have been known to be very independent of their government and very free to do whatever they wanted. Interestingly, because of the situation in the American government at both the federal and at the state or regional levels and their limited resources, there's a growing partnership between government and foundations. Clearly, government is looking for ways to engage philanthropy to help address the common good, the social challenges within our country. So I think that, for the first thing, is probably the most important. The second is government, which gives a tax incentive for donations to philanthropy, is beginning to say, okay, what is the public benefit, the return from that? And so there's a real pressure on American foundations on impact. What is the impact of our philanthropic dollar? And as a result of that, what we are seeing is more and more American foundations are moving away from grant making to becoming more of an operating foundation where they don't take requests for their grants from NGOs. They say, here's what we want to do, here's our mission, and we're going to go out and partner with people on our own in order to try to accomplish that good.
So in a sense, it's going even less sort of bureaucratic and less demanding from the NGOs to fulfill a very certain role as opposed to actually, affect social change, as I understand it, right?
One of the interesting things in the United States is that many of the new foundations, the high-tech foundations, the eBay, the Google, etc., they don't even like the word foundation. They think foundations are too bureaucratic and too slow. So we're having words like venture philanthropy and even for-profit philanthropy, so that they can move quickly and move independently and move creatively in ways that even a foundation may not be able to move. So we see that also as a change that's happening. One of the things that's interesting is we call it the democratization of philanthropy on both the donor side and on the action side. But we're creating now, especially through community foundations, where average people of average wealth are all of a sudden creating a donor-advised fund within a community foundation. And so all of a sudden philanthropy is becoming a part of the American fabric. On the other side, using technology, many different organizations are beginning to say, all right, let's have a voting process via the internet on where we should give this money. Now, are the big foundations doing that in big projects? No. But is it a trend that's happening? Absolutely.
Mm-hmm. I didn't want you to go into, recounting what you're going to say on the panel, but are there any other specific innovative strategies that you'd like to point out that are sort of, up and coming from the American foundations that could also be used in other areas for
I think one that I find fascinating is the Knight Foundation. The Knight Foundation was created by Knight Ridder, which has a number of newspapers all across the United States. The Knight Foundation is now funding projects to create high technology communications in those communities. Now, many people would say, well, wait a minute, if you're going to fund the web and technology, you're funding directly opposite where we got our money, which was from the printing and sale of newspapers. But they've said, no, our goal is innovative communication that builds community. We can't be constrained by our past and our legacy. We have to be focused on the future. It's a really out-of-the-box and almost courageous attempt by a foundation to bring its mission into the 21st century.
It's all that you're saying here, it sounds really exciting to me, and one of the reasons is because a lot of what we've been talking here before sort of seems to imply that grant makers or owners of foundations are more conservative and they don't really get the new media or technology and all of that. So how have you been able to bridge this gap or make them believe in this change and innovation and running foundations in a 21st sort of century way?
I think there are two or three things that are happening. I think the public pressure for impact or the results, the general media discussion of do you matter, and the own creativity of a new generation of philanthropic leaders have all combined in order to do this. We are seeing a real pressure in the United States, almost a movement, a social movement, not a pressure from the government, but a social movement that says, I'm a small foundation by myself, my money's worthless, it doesn't really make a difference, but if I collaborate, if I partner with others, whether it be on education reform or the environment or healthcare or the arts or whatever, then I can make a difference. And so you are seeing foundations in philanthropic organizations collaboratively working together in ways that probably 10 years ago would have been not heard of.
All right, excellent. Thank you so much.
Good. Thank